So we've all been sick. We've all had a cold or allergies that we're fighting. And we know as singers that it can be pretty debilitating. So what do we do? How do we recover well from this? And how do we still engage our voice as much as possible? This is something that I have received so many questions about from my students, from people online. It's a very valid thing to be concerned about, especially as a singer. And at the same time, it's one of those things that sometimes we just do not have any control over. Sometimes we get sick out of nowhere, and for me at least, it happens to be like right before a performance or some kind of crucial recording, anything that I actually have to use my voice for. So I have been there many times, and I think through the years, through consulting with my doctors and consulting with my voice coaches, I have like a whole list of things, and I have it right in front of me so I don't forget where I'm going with this. But it's a total of 15 things. This is just what's worked for me personally, and I think it's really appropriate that I talk about this because I'm just myself recovering from a little stint of fall allergies. Really fun. Hate it, but what can you do? I take allergy medicine regularly, and still, depending on the season, my allergies flare up in different ways. So I definitely had a little bit of like a sinus thing going, and it turned into a full-on like cold. But because of my remedies that I have been doing for the last several years, I was able to get through it a lot faster. And really the bulk of that initial severe cold only lasted a day or two. And then the rest was just residual symptoms that I've been managing since. Oh, I should preface this to say, none of this is like official medical advice because I'm not a doctor. But a lot of these things on my list are just natural remedies. They're not things that you would necessarily need a doctor's approval for. However, if you are experiencing anything serious or life-threatening, please consult with a doctor, especially if you are looking to take actual medicine. So all of the things that I'm going to be mentioning are not that. All right, so let's start with the first two major things that everyone knows and everyone should know. For recovery, you need a lot of water. You need to be drinking a lot of water or eating things that are more liquid based because your body needs a lot of fluids to flush out all of the things that it's dealing with. So number one is a lot more water than you usually drink. Great way to do it is to factor in teas or soups into your diet and just make sure you're hydrating a lot. That's number one. Number two is make sure you get a lot of sleep. This sounds very self-explanatory, of course. However, I used to be one of those people that if I'm sick, I still want to like get things done and not cancel things on my schedule or on my appointment book. But I figured out the hard way that that is just a surefire way to have these sicknesses and symptoms that you're dealing with last a lot longer than you want. So I would highly, highly recommend canceling things. Just make sure you can get a lot of rest. Our body recovers the most when it's at rest, especially during sleep. So keep that in mind. As much sleep as you can get. That means your regular 8 to 10 hours at night. But beyond that, anytime you can nap or just be lying around kind of doing as little as possible would be ideal. So those are the first two things. Next on the list is a saltwater gargle. That is where you take some warm water, put a lot of salt in it, stir it up, make sure it's dissolved, and then take a little sip of it. Do not swallow. Just gargle it around. You want that salt water to come into contact with at least the top of your throat area, and it will help soothe a lot of what you're dealing with if you have any throat irritation or throat soreness. That is one that I swear by for sure. Next is steam inhalation. Now this one's a little bit more involved and time consuming in some ways because it involves a few things. You need to be able to sit over a pot or a bowl of boiling hot water with a towel over your head to create a tent so that all of that steam from the boiling water just stays in one place and you can really inhale it in a very concentrated way. So you need like a space where you can sit and do that comfortably. They have a lot of newer devices where you fill it up with water, you plug it in, and it creates the steam for you, and you can just sit in front of it and breathe in the steam. That's great. I have not bit the bullet yet and bought that kind of a device. So I go old school and I actually boil a pot of water on the stove or with my kettle. And I make sure that that pot is full of the boiling water. I take it to my table where I'm going to be sitting. I place it on a trivet so that it doesn't mess up the table because it's a hot pot of water. And then I have my beach towel ready to go, and I tie up my hair and I sit over the boiling water with the towel over my head, and I create that little tent. And I sit there for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now that might sound like a long time, but if you do this first thing in the morning, it's very relaxing. You can do this in place of your meditation or whatever form of like self-care that you do in the mornings. Or if you are struggling with just kind of sitting there for a period of time, not doing anything, just being alone with your thoughts, you could always pull up your phone, pull up a video on YouTube or something that's long enough and watch that. I don't recommend giving yourself more ways to be addicted to your phone, but if this is the only way that you're going to do this, then do it. It's really worth it. And I try to do it once in the morning, once in the evening. What this does is it loosens up a lot of the congestion that you have built up either in your nose or in your chest, and helps it to just loosen up and leave your system. Highly, highly recommend it. And I know it's time consuming. It's kind of annoying to do, but it's really worth it in the end. Number 5 is the neti pot. If you do not know what that is, it is a nasal irrigation device. And obviously you can buy one of these things from the store, from your local drugstore, but it is a little device that you fill with water. You add a little bit of the saline mix to it. Make sure it is distilled water or boiled water because you don't want to be putting any kind of water up your nose. This is what's going to be happening with this water. You fill it up and you kind of pour it through one nostril. Obviously stand over a sink before you do this. And while you pour that water mixture into your nose, it will come out through the other way. And you can do it on the other side too. But basically this clears up anything that's been built up in your nose. It's a much, much better, safer way than blowing the heck out of your nose any time you need to clear your nose. This is one of my favorite ways to get rid of congestion, nasal congestion. But yes, it is a process. And this is also why you really want to cancel your plans, because you're going to be needing to use this neti pot or blow your nose so many times during the day. And it's definitely better to do that than let it sit there or let it somehow drip into the back of your throat and into the rest of your system, because then it's harder for it to leave your system. Neti pot, definitely worth getting. There are different brands. So the one that I use is the neti pot because I think it was the first one to come out, but there are different types of similar devices. So go ahead and get one of those for yourself and thank me later. Number 6 is a humidifier. So if you live in a dry place, or if you feel like there's just not a lot of moisture in the air around you where you live, a humidifier is going to be one of those things that you keep on while you're sleeping, and it will just help create more of a humid environment for you while you sleep and as your body is getting the rest that it needs to recover. It's very helpful to have. Again, optional, but I find it to be very helpful for myself. It definitely speeds up the recovery process because you're aiding your body in getting the things that it really needs in order to fight whatever it's dealing with. Number 7 is a saline nasal spray. So this is similar to what you would have been using in the neti pot or any similar device, but this is just purely salt water that's been put into a spray bottle. You can get it at any drugstore, and all you do is spray it into your nostril any amount of times during the day that you would like, I believe. It's just salt water, so it's very safe, very natural. But again, salt water just helps to loosen up things and clear your passageways. So definitely a good thing to have. They make bigger bottles, but also small bottles. So I like to keep a small bottle in my purse when I'm on the go, and it helps a lot with just kind of relieving that congested feeling. Number 8 is a throat spray. There are different kinds of throat sprays that you can use. The one that I use is called Singer's Throat Spray. I believe you can get it online, but maybe it's sold in different drugstores as well. But at the same time, do your research, make sure you're consulting a medical professional before you take anything like that. It does help with soothing the throat. So it's very herbal from what I know, and it has been very helpful to me. Number 9, Vicks Vapor Rub. This also helps a lot with congestion, relieving that congestion, kind of clears up your nasal passageways, and I think can help with your chest congestion as well. So you can either use it throughout the day or while you sleep. That's how I use it. Number 10, Vicks also has a Vapo shower tablet that you can buy, where it's just these big shower tablets that you can put into the shower with you while the hot steam is going on, and it will create a steam environment where you're breathing in a lot of that like menthol and things that could help you clear up all of your issues, all of the congestion that you're dealing with. 11 is cough drops. I would be careful with these just because there are some that will dry out your throat more, mainly like the menthol ones, but yeah, I like more of the herbal cough drops that are not as drying for the throat, but it definitely helps with soothing your throat and also avoiding that feeling of like you need to sneeze all the time because of all the symptoms you're dealing with. So love cough drops, and definitely always have those on the go for myself because it's a lifesaver. 12, ginger tea. Love, love, love any kind of tea that has ginger in it. Usually those are going to be decaf, so definitely recommend that. I also recommend, if you don't have ginger tea packets or sachets, try to get an actual ginger root, cut off a few pieces, throw it in some boiling water, and steep it for a few minutes, and you will create your own ginger tea. You can strain it and drink it, add some honey. It's very, very soothing and has a lot of healing properties. If you want to go the extra mile, I like to create ginger turmeric shots and have them year round. I make them and then I freeze them into ice cubes so that I can just put them in some hot boiling water and mix it with some honey whenever I need it. And it's really helpful to have like throughout the season, but definitely especially when you're sick. The way that you create those is you take some ginger, turmeric, you can look all this up online, but you take all that, you blend it together, add some water, add some extra spices if you want, like cloves and cinnamon and whatever else that has healing properties, and then turn it into kind of a paste or just like a liquid form. Throw it into an ice cube tray, freeze it, and then save it for whenever you need it. All right, we're at the last couple ones. So 14 is vitamin C tablets and 15 is zinc tablets. Both of these are known to help speed up your recovery process. You know, it won't completely eliminate anything. None of the things that I mentioned are going to eliminate your cold instantly, but it is going to help speed up the recovery process and help you feel better when you're dealing with all of these crazy symptoms. So I always take vitamin C and zinc to help speed that process up a little bit. And that is really all that I have for you in terms of all of the home remedies that I use personally whenever I am sick. And again, for the record, I am not a medical professional, so please take all of this with a grain of salt and consult with your own personal medical professional before doing anything to your body. All of these are natural remedies, and they are not going to completely fix what you're dealing with, but it just will help you feel a little bit better and speed up the recovery process if your body is able to work with all of these things that I mentioned. Now, as you can see, it's a lot. There's 15 things. It's almost like a full-time job dealing with all of these home remedies when you're sick. So keep that in mind, and that's why it's always important to just make sure you're stocked up before you get sick, so then you don't have to run out or get somebody to go get all these things for you when you do fall sick, unfortunately, because we all do. It's just a part of life. So all that being said, these are some personal tips to keep yourself healthier and recovering quickly if you're dealing with any kinds of colds or allergy symptoms. That's about it. If you have any comments or questions, drop them in the comments below. And if you want to get any more tips on things like voice care or vocal exercises or things that you can do to help keep your voice engaged, subscribe and like this video. I will be sharing more things in the future related to voice, so stay tuned. Happy singing.